Some considerable percentage of human beings are asleep, always, and many are awake. And so if the world soul is made of the collective consciousness of human beings, then it is never entirely awake. It is never entirely asleep.
Existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination.
Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Paranomaly. I'm Ben, and this is Heva.
Hello, this is Heather, aka Swagger Prance.
Oh yeah, I should have done my AKA. AKA Banomaly. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is, as I say, our first show of Paranomaly, and it's going to be about all things supernatural, spiritual, psychic, weird, science stuff, anything we want to talk about. It's all fair game on Paranomaly. So we're going to get stuck straight in with a topic. We're going to loosely call it out-of-body experience topic, and relating to that, we know that Swagger Prods, aka Heva, has done some ayahuasca once before, and we're going to find out what that experience was like. So, Heva, what was it like when you took ayahuasca?
Well, Ben, it's a funny thing about ayahuasca because you try to explain it to people and you can't. Like, I can tell you what happened.
Yeah.
But you can't ever grasp the true feeling, like what happens to you, I guess.
Let's start at the beginning. So where did you actually go to? Oh no, don't think you're allowed to say, are you? Or can you?
I can do it very loosely. Yes.
Okay. So
because it was in America, and it is legal if done as part of a ceremony. So they get around that. It was in Joshua Tree in the desert.
All right.
And it was during a full blue moon.
Nice.
So basically, you go out there a couple hours early, about 5 hours, set up you're just on the dirt. You set up your sleeping bag, and you sort of get to know people a little bit. Well, first of all, I should start with the preparation for it. For a week before, you do a dieta, which is diet in Spanish. And it's basically, it's kind of common sense, but it's kind of particular. It's like you can't eat pork for 5 days before and red meat 3 days before, and there's like different days for different things. Basically, you're trying to rid your body of toxins, and if you're on any kind of MAOI, like SSRIs, anything like that, you can't do it. You have to be off of them for at least 90 days.
That's prescription drugs.
Yeah, like anything like Prozac, Celexa, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no cheese, no sugar, no, obviously, alcohol, like not even weed, no
Shit.
orgasms, no television.
No orgasms? Why is that? Why is that a part of the deal?
No orgasms 3 days before and 2 days after the ceremony.
It's a strange one.
Yeah, and you have to drink this Pao Daco tea. It's like a cleansing tea. Couple times a day. So you do all that, and you're basically cleansing your body of all negativity. And yeah, it seems strange with the orgasms, but so you have to do, after you do all that, and then you can't eat like 8 hours before, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done LSD, I've done shrooms. This is not like that, and I haven't done those things since college, and I don't like doing those things because I don't like being out of control. So when my friend asked me if I wanted to do it, I was super hesitant.
I'm the same.
And yeah, and I was like, I don't know, but no one else would do it with her, and I like almost backed out of it like a couple times, and I just felt obligated, and I was like so scared. And so I'll get back to that, which ended up being funny. But so I'm telling you with that as a background, I don't do these kinds of things recreationally.
No.
So like anymore, not for 20 years. And I didn't like doing them when I did them. I did not have good experiences. So I was kind of like, I didn't really understand what this. I just thought I was doing a new like hallucinogen, which is not what it is. So you go there, set up camp, you're in a circle. When the ceremony begins, this is when you know it's going to be fun, because they come around and put a plastic bucket at the foot of everybody's sleeping bags.
Yeah, I've heard that. Everyone tends to be sick.
Yeah, sick and shitting yourself is what I heard.
Ooh.
So I was really afraid of that. And I think that's why a lot of the food cleansing and the not eating.
Makes sense now.
No, the shitting did not happen to me. Let me put it out there right now. And thank goodness, because if it happened, you had to run like, it was at least like 50 yards to this barn where there was some like bucket over there. I'm like, that ain't happening. And I don't think it happened to anyone as far as I know, actually. But when it comes time for the ceremony, they pass around first tobacco water, and you like snort it up your nose, and you hand it to the next person and snort it up your nose. And I'm not gonna go, this is a 8-hour long journey that you go on. So I'm obviously cutting it down, but I'm gonna just give you like kind of the key points, the meat of it. So you line up, you take your first dose, and it tastes like, I didn't think it tasted that awful. Like some people like almost threw up just from tasting it. So it's a tea. Basically, it's DMT. Ayahuasca is DMT. It's different. It's not like taking it like straight DMT. It's the way they combine these different roots and such.
Yeah. But
it's still DMT. It just comes on slower. So, long story short, I took it, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect maybe anything would happen. I was probably laying there maybe an hour or so. And they're like, okay. And then I started hearing, so we're outside, we're not in the complete desert. There's a road not too far, so there are cars going by in the distance, and there's dogs barking. There's outside sounds. It's not at a place that's completely private nor
secluded,
right? So I stopped hearing all these things, and I started hearing these frequencies, like delta or theta waves. And it's basically like the sounds of the universe. And then I started seeing, like, looking up, you're under the stars, looking up, and then I saw a grid and these vortexes of different colors coming out of the sky, and just this feeling of peace.
Cool.
And I was like, wow, this is awesome. I love this. But what they tell you before is part of the journey, you become connected. And they say when you do purge, the purging is going to be part of it. And it's basically releasing you, but you might be taking stuff on from other people. And guess who's the first one that quote-unquote purged? So I'm having my lovely experience, and then all of a sudden, the vortexes stop. The frequencies stopped, and I just saw Egypt. And I saw myself as, like, in Egypt, but it wasn't like a peaceful feeling. And I saw, like, almost demonic, like, demons coming up.
Shit.
And I got up, and I went to the bucket, and I put my hands in the dirt, and it was like claws.
Shit.
And the only thing in my head that was coming was like, oh my God, like, this is my true self. It is not good. Like, I'm a really bad person, and this is all coming out, and this is like what I was.
In a past life?
And I guess, probably. Not that I was a bad person, but it was a deity.
Yeah. Still
I
are a
wasn't
deity.
like a person. I wasn't like someone mopping up. I was... Yeah, and then I purged, and I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, I'm like, just please make this end. Please make this end. And like, what is going on? And then...
Crazy.
And then a voice told me, it was like, this is it. You don't need to take another dose. And you'd think, well, yeah, you're not going to take another dose because you're vomiting. But I laid back down, and this peace came back to me, and it just said, you're done. Like, you take on too much, and you've been released. Like, you take on everybody's pain.
What was the voice? What did the voice sound like? Was it you internally speaking to yourself? Or was it an outside... Was it something external to you?
It is kind of external. It's not like your inner dialogue, but it isn't like you're not hearing a voice, like a woman's voice or something, as far as I remembered. But
strange.
It's almost like that, like, purged it out of me, and then I laid back down, and you get this feeling like this was your turn, like this was your purge, and you got rid of it, and now you're free, and now it's somebody else's turn. And right after that, this gentleman, like, across, like, directly across, like, if the feet were, like, if energy was coming out of your feet, I heard him purge. And then I started hearing this, like, Native American music, and then this is, like, what carried me through, like, the next, like, 7 hours. This theme that kept circling back was this large brown feathered bird, and
eagle?
I became, it said eagle feather, like, I have it in my notes, and my wing was around everybody's purging, and it kept the voice kept saying, not black feathers, like brown feathers.
That's seriously
and I
trippy.
became this eagle, and the whole rest of the journey was this just peace I found, and like everything just comes off of you, and that my job was done, and that I don't need to worry about other people. But then I was like, on each purge, I would just find this peace of like being this eagle and like protecting people. I don't know if it's making sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It sounds like the sort of thing I need to do. It sounds really interesting. But so while this is happening and you're experiencing all these out-of-body experiences, and I suppose you could call it almost, is it called transmogrification when you think you're an animal? Or is that something I'm thinking wrong?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what happens when you go on like spirit journeys and you find your spirit animal and you like transmogrify into the coyote or whatever it is, whatever your spirit animal is, it comes to you.
But you was an eagle and a cat, or a lion, a sphinx, potentially.
Yeah.
A demon sphinx, when you was in Egypt.
Yeah, and then once that was purged out, like the rest of the night, like that was gone. Like all negativity was gone after that was like released.
And there was everyone around. How many people was taking this when you was taking this?
Probably, I think there were 15.
And they all experienced similar experiences.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to come back to. So it kept telling me, that's it, your job here is done. That's all you need. And the rest of the night, this whole, like for 8 hours, I just journeyed it, and it was all kinds of things and all kinds of like huge, like personal releases and answers, because you go in with intention. You have to have an intention.
Okay.
And everyone else, like I remember, like I could kind of like look up and see people going back throughout the night for multiple doses, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, are you out of your mind? And then I saw one of the shaman come to one woman, and she's like, I'm just not feeling anything. And we're all taking, you're all taking it from the same bucket.
Yeah.
You know, you're drinking it from the same glass. They just take the scooper and scoop it to the next person, scoop it to the next person. So it's not like tabs where there's someone gets a different dose than the other. Everyone's getting the same thing. But other people didn't experience it. And my friend that took me, that really wanted to do it, was so gung-ho. The next morning, she saw me writing, and I was, like, feverishly writing all these notes, and she's like, what are you writing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that was, like, completely profound. She's like, I didn't feel anything. She's like, I see more hallucinations on... And it's not that's a bad way of putting it, especially if you've ever done acid. It's not hallucinations, like in that sense. Yeah. You do see things. Like I saw rainbows everywhere, but not the kind of rainbow that you see on acid. Like, if that makes sense. So she didn't feel anything at all, and she took like 3 doses. So me and a few of the shamans, we were talking the next morning, and like one other guy who had done it the night before. We're like, she's like, you saw the rainbows, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah. Basically, it comes to you. Like, I think if you need it, if there's something in your life, like, it'll open you up to the universe. And if you're not ready, or you don't have intentions or something, then it won't. Which is really interesting. Yeah,
but your friend wanted it more than you did, and she didn't get it. So why do you think that? Could it be to do with just drug tolerance? Maybe she was more tolerant of drugs and she needed a big dose?
No, because my husband talked to her husband after, and then when Captain saw me the next day, he said, he's like, oh my God, like, you look 5 years younger. Like, something happened out there. Like, what the hell happened? Shit. And her husband was like, the way she is, like, she was either, the way she is, I think she was, like, expecting too much. Like, she was expecting, like, a yes or no answer, or, like, she's not open, I guess, is what he was saying. She's kind of closed off.
So, would you liken the experience, you said it wasn't a hallucination, like when you take trips, LSD and stuff. So, would you say it was closer to a dream that you experienced, induced by the drugs, or was it not even a dream?
No, that's the thing. That's what you can't explain, because you're wide awake.
Your eyes are open.
Yeah, you're not sleeping. And
Shit.
you can't, yeah. It's not like it's so bizarre. And then what happened to me was you watch, like I watched the moon traverse from rising to setting, and when it sets and the sun starts to rise, like I felt it like kind of bringing me back, like gently back to this plane. And
Oh.
you feel nothing. Like I didn't sleep the whole night. You feel fine the next day. There's no like hangover. I mean, you feel wonderful.
And
You're not tired. Like I wasn't like, I didn't feel like I hadn't slept all day. With something like acid, like it's like the worst thing in the world to like come off of. It's nothing like that. It's like completely, it just opens up your pineal gland, I think, and allows you to sort of traverse planes and get answers and then come back and then
see, it sounds like it could be. I'm not sure. I 100% believe in it, but I do believe there is a conscience, and perhaps there's parts of reality that we can't see because of just the way we evolved. Like we are only evolved to see what we need to see to survive, to get by, like animals. And maybe ayahuasca somehow, I don't really know how because it's only chemicals, and because they say you can't, for example, get an ayahuasca pill, can you?
no.
It has to
No,
be
it has to be a mixture of these specific.
these roots. And I know the history of it, that for them to discover this mixture of roots is pretty impossible because there's no way they would have known to mix that certain amount with this amount to make it. And I've heard that the tribes that first originated ayahuasca, were told they say that they were told by the plant mother to make this stuff.
Yes.
Yes. So do you think then ultimately that it is almost I hesitate to say it, a universal consciousness, and that's kind of what you're plugging into, Mother Earth, nature, and it's all part of the same circuitry, perhaps.
That's exactly it, and that's what I learned, and that was the takeaway from it, and that's a whole other like 3 pages of my notes, is that everyone you meet, you're meant to meet for a reason, and the ones that you really connect with, you've known them before, and there's a reason that they have entered your life.
I'd like
And we all are connected, and there definitely is a universal connection.
Well, we are all definitely made of the same stuff, so it makes sense. If you believe in Big Bang Theory, which is the most prevalent theory of creation, then we all did. I'm going to say literally, even because it is literally, we all did literally come from one point, the same point. So maybe in some weird roundabout way, taking ayahuasca is a way to link back to the point, and then that's why you see, because it sounds to me like you saw everything in essence. You saw rainbows, you changed into an animal, you was an eagle, you heard space frequencies. Did you hear Saturn, do you think?
I was wondering that, because you hear different frequencies, and at different points it's a different frequency, and I've tried to go to YouTube after and figure out which one it was, if it was like a theta or delta wave, or what exactly it was. At this point I wouldn't even remember, but
It sounds really good. Sounds like something everyone should try and experience, I think, just to see, just because it sounds like no other drug. I mean, it sounds like it's the kind of thing when you hear about it that you want to try, whereas people that took LSD or tabs or anything like that, they usually tell you the bad shit that happened, and it just puts you off wanting to try it. But ayahuasca, the only bad stuff I've heard is people feeling a bit sick, which can happen on anything, or it can happen on drink.
And that's the purge. That's you getting rid of whatever, like, it's meant to happen. So, and 2 people that I was with were ex-Marines, and this is used a lot to treat like post-traumatic stress syndrome, to try to curb alcoholism, to sort of like, I almost said self-medicate, not self-medicate, but
What did they see?
like therapy.
Yeah.
Well, the one next to me, one of them has been traveling with them, so he does it like every time they travel around. The other one, oh wow, like he started the night that he had done it the night before, and the night I was with him, he took like 5 doses. I heard him, he was growling. He was making, he's like, I was a bear. I'm like, I know, I heard you. Like at one point, one of the shamans had to like come in, like, are you okay?
Do the shamans take it with you?
Yeah, which freaked me out because I'm so paranoid. I'm like, wait, you're doing it? I'm like, what if something happens? What if I have a bad reaction? Because this is how my mind works, you know? That's why I'm so surprised, like, what happened to me. Yeah, they're all doing it too.
Are they doing it every, like...
So there's nobody
every
there.
trip? Every week they're doing that? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they see something different every time?
Yeah. There are similarities. I think it's like a personal thing. You're learning something. I imagine they're just learning something new every time.
I'd probably see
I don't know.
a squirrel. I'd be a squirrel. I wouldn't be a lion or a bear or anything like that. I'd like to do it and become an eagle. That would be the ultimate dream. And if I did, I'd probably be doing it every other week. Was it expensive?
It's like 100, I think.
That's alright.
Yeah, it wasn't any more than 100. It was under 100 or 100.
And you're just camping out in somewhere in America. Oh, that sounds like something good. I need to try and do that. But so I can't just get these ingredients shipped over and make my own ayahuasca.
You can go to Peru.
Can't I just
You
go
have a couple grand.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I ain't going there. That's I wouldn't want to go there. The mosquitoes love me. They'd eat me alive.
I know, me too. I know.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. Well, I'm thoroughly interested, and I definitely would like to do some ayahuasca, and I hope everyone in chat would like to do some ayahuasca, if anyone's in chat listening, because I'm not checking chat, because I'm listening to Heva, and it's much easier just to get on with our conversation. So
I've told them, I put it out there. I don't think you heard it, that Jared and I were joking that we're going to have a because there is a place, I don't want to say like the state, but they're based out of a specific state in the States where they do it. There's always a shaman there that does it at their grounds, and then they have other shamans that travel around the U.S. So I was telling them we're going to have a RadCon meetup and we're all going to do ayahuasca. Jared's down with it.
Yeah, I bet Jared would be up for it. I bet Harry would be up for it. Robbie.
Harry was too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's...
Everyone would probably be up for that, I would imagine. I can't think of anyone on RadCon that wouldn't want to do it. Everyone's pretty much stoned now, aren't they? 90% of our listeners.
Usually someone's on something. One of the RadCon people.
Well, I think it's all part of the human experience, isn't it? We all want to... Well, I don't like speaking for people. I personally... I'm off the drugs now, and I don't look back, but I do miss it, and I do miss changing my sort of brain makeup. I miss... Reality sucks, doesn't it? That reality shit. It's just relentless, and drugs just take the edge off reality, I think. If this even is reality, drugs might actually open the door to what is the real reality. Like ayahuasca is supposed. They say that.
That's what you see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're really seeing.
The vortex and the grid.
The vortex. What was the vortex then? Was it like a black hole?
No, they're like
tornadoes.
Starts as like a square, and then it comes down. There's like different colors, and then it comes down into like a kind of a conical shape.
Yeah. This rainbow color thing is interesting because the first thing, if the Big Bang Theory is correct, then the first thing that ever would have happened would be light. I know it's biblical as well, but light would have been immediate reaction to the Big Bang, and that would have been the first thing in the blackness of the universe that actually happened. Like, so everyone, you said a few people, not everyone, maybe a few people keep seeing rainbows, and obviously that's the prism of light. So maybe there's something to that as well.
Yeah, and then they were telling me about this Hopi prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors. And
The Rainbow Warriors?
Yeah, it sounds totally gay. No, it's this...
That's well gay.
Basically, like, when the apocalypse... I don't want to say the word apocalypse. When, like...
Ragnarok.
Just to say the end of the world. Like, this kind of scenario. There's a tribe of Rainbow Warriors that are meant to come up and prevent it. It's like a higher consciousness. Yeah. So
Do they
that's a whole
wear
show,
do they
I
wear
think.
cycling shorts? Pink cycling shorts.
Shut up.
And they've got spears with like rubber ends, so they can't actually do any damage to anyone. Or like them poles that the Trump people have. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So I really enjoyed that, Heva. Thanks. You got me into wanting to take ayahuasca now, and if I can hook it up somehow, I think I will. It's kind of beckoning me to do it. As soon as I found out about it, I've always been interested in it.
Oh, that's another thing with it, which was weird with me. The people it calls you, like the people that do it, it's almost like you've been called to do it.
It's on the
It's
phone.
how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Skyping me
so-
now. I got a call from ayahuasca. Right, let's get on to our next subject of discussion, which is similar in theme to ayahuasca and out-of-body experiences, and it is near-death experiences. And in my research, in inverted commas research, like we did, we're pretty unprepared, by the way, listeners, if you're listening, but we took some notes, and I'd like to read a near-death experience by a man called Carl G. Jung, and I picked this one out from a website of near-death experiences because he is a psychologist, and so if anyone's going to be able to understand what's actually going on in a near-death experience, you'd think it'd be a psychologist because, well, they studied the mind. So I'm just going to read a bit now. Starts off: the beginning of 1944, I broke my foot, and this misadventure was followed by a heart attack. In a state of unconsciousness, I experienced deliriums and visions which have begun when I hung on the edge of death and I was being given oxygen and camphor injections. The images were so tremendous that I myself concluded that I was close to death. My nurse afterward told me it was as if you were surrounded by a bright glow. That was a phenomenon she had sometimes observed in the dying, she added. I had reached the outermost limit, and do not know whether I was in dream or ecstasy. At any rate, extremely strange things began to happen to me. It seemed to me that I was high up in space. Far below I saw the globe of the earth, bathed in a glorious blue light. I saw the deep blue sea and the continents. Far below my feet lay Ceylon. I think that's a state in America, I'm not sure. And in the distance ahead of me, the subcontinent of India. My field of vision did not include the whole earth, but its global shape was plainly distinguishable, and outlines shone with a silvery gleam through that wonderful blue light. In many places the globe seemed coloured or spotted dark green like oxidized silver. Far away to the left lay a broad expanse, the reddish yellow desert of Arabia. It was as though the silver fang of the earth had there assumed a reddish gold hue. Then came the Red Sea, far back, as if in the upper left of the map. I could just make out a bit of the Mediterranean. My gaze was directed chiefly towards that. Everything else appeared indistinct. I could also see snow-covered Himalayas, but that direction it was foggy or cloudy. I did not look to the right at all. I knew that I was on the point of departing the earth. And this is a really long description, but just from that bit that I've read out, you can see that, sorry, pardon me, I'm drinking IPA. This was from 1944. So this man had extremely vivid experience when he died, because he did die in a heart attack, and he was actually left his body and he was looking down at the earth. So this goes against the regular, ordinary near-death experience when people go down the tunnel and they see light at the end. This guy actually left his body and went into space, and he was describing the earth in such a way, further down in his article it says that he was describing it in a detail that NASA had not yet developed to see themselves with satellites. So that's why this one is actually on the internet, because it come up that he may have actually seen these things. So when we die, is my question to you, Heva, when we die, do you think that we actually go on someplace, and are we still the same?
I think we go on I think we go on, but I think we go on. This is what I got from the ayahuasca too. And by the way, Carl Jung is one of he influenced philosophical interpretations of quantum mechanics and the concept of synchronicity and all that. So it's funny you bring him up.
Yeah, no, that's why I picked this one
and
out.
All that.
He's a credible. I think he's the most credible person that I could find in the time.
Yeah, it's all the same thing, and that's all what the ayahuasca sort of teaches you is you do. Because I'm one of those people that I was just like super afraid of death. Like I think about it all the time. I'm not Christian. I don't believe that I'm gonna go to a fairyland when I die. Like I don't know what happens, but after that, it's like I know that it's part of this. I don't even want to say one universe. Like multi-universes.
It could be 11.
And yeah, I don't think I'm going to go on as myself. It's like Swagger Prance, but it's going to be some sort of... Because who wants that, really? I'm not going to travel the cosmos with a bow staff and nunchucks. But
yeah, no. Well, that might be your spirit weapon, the bow staff. Well, I always think that... I don't know, I lean on the side of... I know science has become the new religion, and yes. I do tend to look at it. I'm very cynical of science now, but I do kind of feel that we might just be meat sacks, and when we die, that's the end. But people like this, Carl Jung, if they have these experiences when his heart stopped beating, so he was dead, and how is he seeing these things, and how is he remembering them, and what would be the reason if... I don't know, I think it's one of the deepest, obviously it is the deepest thing to talk about death. And do you think that it could just actually be over and we might just be a meat sack? Do you entertain that?
I did, for sure. That's what I kind of surmised, or was at least afraid that was going to happen. But now I know there's something way beyond what you see, and I think all this actually, like if you look up Jung's, if you study psychology, you're gonna study Jung as much as you'd study Freud and anybody else. But he's kind of like shoo-shooed or poo-pooed by
the science community.
Scientific, for a lot of his philosophical statements on synchronicity and this kind of thing. And he did a lot of more, what do you call it, like spiritual type work and writings.
Anomalous work.
Yeah, and the guy really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does.
And I think there's a lot to that. And I think there's a lot to science kind of shutting your mind off to that possibility. It's almost like that's what they want.
They want it to be...
They want the hive mind to be... Yeah. Like, there's no possibility. That's why science is a new religion now. And you talk to any of these, like... I have so many friends that are like this, that are like, if it's not scientifically documented, it's crap. But I'm like, you're shutting yourself out. Like, you're supposed to be and it's all like these way, like, liberal people. And I'm like, I thought the liberals are supposed to be, like, peaceful. And you're shutting yourself off to, like, these possibilities. And you're making society, like you're contributing to this hate, which is, again, it's almost like utopomance, that thing. Like, if you put it out there, that's what we're going to become. And it's like they're constructing us to become that, and to shut off any possibility of peace.
Well, it's like the machine. It's just the evolution. It's the transhumanism into the better our machines get, the more we sort of think, well, they're not that far away from being us. And if they are not that far away from being us, are we really anything special? If they are nuts and bolts and gears and cogs and just a program, that might potentially be all we are, just the gears and cogs, a program, a simulation theory, which is it's a very prevailing theory now. It's gaining ground. But I definitely, after the more you look into it, the more and especially if you do it historically, the experiences tend to be the same. People on near death, or that are dead, because a lot of people do actually die, like medically, they tend to leave their body and travel somewhere. They always experience travelling, and there's always a point when they get a choice, like this in the Carl Jung near-death experience. He felt he had a choice. I'm not going to find it now, but I think he said if he turned left or if he turned right, he knew that if he turned left, he was definitely dead. So he turned right because he said he wanted to come back. And that's a reoccurring theme, which I don't think the simulation theory can really explain that, because, well, I don't know, maybe it could, with programs and chips, and maybe we're programmed to just survive us no matter what. It's really, I don't know, it's a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, I could easily do, I mean, I know our show is different topics, but we could do like our entire series of shows just on this topic alone, and not even touch ghosts or this. I know. We picked some really good topics for our first episode. I think I'm enjoying it, and thanks to everyone for listening. If you're enjoying it, please stick with Radio Confluence, give us some love, put a heart in the chat, and we're going to move on to our next subject now, which is I'm going to leave this one to Heva, so take it away, Heva. The Eliza Lamb?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is interesting. This happened here in LA. Well, I'm 30 miles outside of LA, but to anybody else that's not in California, may as well be LA. So Eliza Lamb was a Canadian student from the University of British Columbia. She was traveling around. She was staying by herself at the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA. Yep. And she was missing as of the 31st of January, 2013. So this story just went massive because the video went viral, and I'm sure some of you might remember seeing this viral video of this woman going in and out of an elevator, kind of turning to the side, like she's hiding. She gets out. It appears that she's talking to someone. Her hands are like gesticulating and strange, like almost. I try to do it with my hand, and I can't even move my hand the way her hands are. No. My joints are pretty like loose, and the doors don't close. Or I mean, we don't even possibly. When an elevator is out of order, it's not. The doors aren't open. They have the thing shut down. You know, like the doors never open, and they don't even like try to close. Like an elevator, it's strange. So, long story short, their guests in the hotel were complaining about low pressure in the pipes and sometimes black water coming out, and the water tasted a little funky. Well, because poor Eliza was in the water tank of the hotel decomposing for a good 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Nice. No idea how she got there. The door to the roof is locked. You can get up there through a fire escape. That's a possibility. Even if she did that, the things are on concrete blocks.
And alarmed, aren't they, as well?
The fire, you can get up there on a fire escape if you try. The doors are alarmed. Yeah, the doors are locked and alarmed.
She would have had to climb out of a window though to do that, wouldn't she?
She'd have to climb out of a window, go all the way up the fire escape, climb like 8 feet into the tank. The tank's lids are they're easily, I don't know how much, I mean, let's say 20 pounds, but even if she lifted it, got in there, lifted it, closed it on her, it's very hard to close it back on yourself when you're inside.
Yeah.
She's naked. They found her completely naked, but all her clothes were beside her in the tank.
It's just
there's no, I mean, it was not it's ruled an accidental death. There's no drugs in her system. I think there's a possibility that, because of the decomposition, that any drugs may have, I don't want to say diluted, that sounds dumb, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, they say the only official account for what happened to her, so they say that she suffered from bipolar, and somehow from suffering from bipolar she managed to do that stuff with her hands where she's spinning her hands around, act like she was talking to someone or hiding from someone, and then she ends up in a water tower on top of the building, which is inaccessible. There's no way she could have got in there on herself. It's just incredible, and it's still unsolved, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they even they ended the investigation. It's not even that they investigated it as any kind of murder. It was not ruled murder.
It was ruled suicide, wasn't it? I think her family are actually taking a lawsuit out.
I think they tried, and I think they failed. The hotel. Yeah, I think it was rejected.
You got some background on this hotel as well, haven't you?
Yeah, the hotel, actually, Richard Ramirez stayed there for a good year. There's been all
kinds of... Who's Richard Ramirez?
I'm sorry. I say that just because it's like, you don't know Richard Ramirez? He's a quite famous serial killer in America. And he stayed there.
How long ago?
Well, he stayed there, I think, 84 to 85. I forgot when he was actually active killing people.
Is he dead now?
I believe he died in prison. He was in prison in California. I think he died a couple years ago.
Because go on, carry on.
The last seen Black Dahlia, I don't know if you're familiar with the Black Dahlia murders, but the last time she was seen was supposedly at this hotel. There's been people that have leapt to their deaths in this hotel, which isn't that odd for LA. So, yeah, I mean, to your point with her freaking out, yes, that could be a psychotic breakdown. The thing is, the situation with her getting that tower. And I don't know if you've seen the 2005 movie, because I did before this even happened, and this is what freaked me out about this story. There's a movie, Dark Water, where this thing, essentially the exact same thing happens.
Yeah, but in the film, what was the cause of that to happen? Was it a ghost that caused?
Yeah, it was supernatural.
It's because I've watched the video. I've watched the video of Alyssa Lamb a few times, and if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, definitely Google up or YouTube Alyssa Lamb, and you'll see the video that we're talking about, where she's standing in a lift, looking like she's hiding from someone. One moment, she's spinning her hands around in this absolutely paranormal way. Like you couldn't do it. You couldn't recreate it. And then it looks like she's talking to someone. It's the scariest shit. And do you think? I think I'm going to put it out there. I do think that there was potentially a ghost that did something to her, or it made it. I don't know how. I've got no idea. But watching the video, she was not acting like a normal person. She was, but she was acting like there was definitely someone influencing her in that instance. Maybe it could have been. I'm not sure how it would work, because if that guy Richard Ramirez, was that his name?
Yes.
If he died in prison, why would his ghost haunt that hotel.
There's a lot of that in Los Angeles. There's a lot of old buildings. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of potential for this kind of thing. Even in that building before Richard Ramirez stayed there. LA is a very, very interesting place.
It's a place
I can't
where the
sleep
freaks
there.
go.
Yeah, I can't sleep there. I've tried to sleep at a friend's house like a couple months ago. I was there. I was up the whole night, like staring, especially in downtown LA. She lives in downtown LA. Like the vibes there, I couldn't relax. Like it's just like like my skin crawls. I can go there and go to a show and hang out and I don't feel it, but like sometimes when I'm,
Did it used to be, by any chance, was it an old Native American camp city, perhaps?
I'm sure that there are natives here. They're mostly, I think, of someone can help me out. I think they're mostly like kind of Pacific Islander descent came here as a kind of natives, i.e., if you will, to California.
It could, because if Americans had
But I mean,
only
they
been
were
there,
everywhere.
yeah,
It's the Mexicans. It was all the Mexicans here before.
that's why Trump's building the wall to stop paranormal activity.
Right. There you go.
What was the Black Dahlia one? Was that the one that was beheaded or cut into pieces?
Yeah, she was eviscerated, and yeah, that's unsolved too.
And that happened in the same hotel.
Well, that's where they think she was last seen.
It's
She
freaky.
was found out in some field, I think, like off the freeway.
And is this hotel still standing today?
It is still standing. It's now called the Stay on Main. Like that's
Stay
gonna.
on Main.
Yeah, they had to change They decided after that episode. That's what prompted them to change their name and some sort of like marketing, like, oh, maybe no one will know now that we
That's like
changed.
a worse name, isn't it? It's almost like saying it's a stain on Maine.
No, exactly. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's another. We've knocked another subject out of the ballpark, as you say in America, and we are into the last 9 minutes. So let's discuss stories that Heva and I have been searching in our own little worlds for paranormal stories, and I don't know what Heva's got, and Heva doesn't know what I've got. So, have you got yours up, Heva?
I do.
Right, do you want to start with yours while I find my ones?
Sure. So this is actually from the Huffington Post. Sorry. British athletes claim ghost sex is haunting their reality show. So I don't know if you're familiar with these people or this show.
No.
You might be.
Well, I might be. Is it Yvette Fielding?
I don't
Derek
think
Okora? Okay, don't worry.
Well, just let me tell the story.
Right.
Why is
Okay,
it so
so
special?
there's
in the
one
brain
way to
to
scare up
understand?
Wait.
Sorry, I
Listen.
opened a video that had audio. Sorry.
Two British athletes starring in a reality show are claiming that a sex ghost seems to be haunting their hotel rooms. British Paralympian Kadena Cox, that's a funny name for someone that's claiming ghost sex.
What's her name?
Kadena Cox.
Kay Cox.
Cox.
Yeah, Cox. COX.
Yeah. And retired rugby star Gareth Thomas are two of the celebrities competing on The Jump, a British show where famous people compete in various snow sports. Not water sports?
No.
Story writes itself. Come on. A ski jump with the stars, if you will. The season's first episode aired Sunday on Channel 4 network, but the show is scaring up more attention for what's happening in the celebs' hotel rooms. During the episode, the 25-year-old Cox... It's not an old Cox.
It's quite an actual popular name in the UK.
I know. I'm a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Reportedly asked for a new room after allegedly being sexually violated by a ghost. Another competing celebrity, Emma Parker Bowles, the Duchess of Cornwall's niece, said on the show that Cox was penetrated
Jesus.
by some sort of paranormal entity. Thomas, 42, concurred. She had a ghost going in and out of her. She had a sleep thing, he said, according to the Sun. She wishes it was a person. It was going in and out of her body. The feeling was apparently so real to her that she asked for a room change, as did Thomas. I wanted to move to different floors because when I started hearing these ghost stories, I was at the very, very end and I got scared, he said. Cox and Thomas are just the latest semi-famous people who've claimed to have ghost sex. Last year, Bobby Brown promoted his autobiography by claiming a ghost had had sex with him. I wasn't high, Brown told 2020. I was not tripping.
Shit. It sounds like that puts a whole new meaning on ectoplasm if they're doing that stuff. That's scary. Is there more to the story as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
Go on, carry on.
In
Please.
September 2012, Kesha told Ryan Seacrest the story Supernatural was inspired by a Randy romp with a male ghost. It's about experiences with the supernatural in a sexy way, she told Seacrest. I had a couple of experiences with the supernatural. I don't know his name. He was a ghost. I'm very open to it.
Jeez.
The concept of ghost sex arouses lots of interest, and there are some people, spectrophiliacs, who fantasize about spooky encounters. Debunkers, however, are quick to dismiss ghost on human whoopee. Fucking Captain Ben Radford. This guy is a friend of my husband's ex-wife.
Yeah?
Yeah. Ben Radford, the deputy editor of Skeptical Inquirer magazine, calls such experiences whatever, and blah, 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 sciencey terms, hallucinations. These vivid hallucinations, which can be sexual, are common to people. He, like Captain's ex-wife, is a little bit of pooper. So,
shit.
Sciencey. Talking about science is a new religion. They're very science is a new religion.
Oh, this is
But
new
Ben
to
Radford
me.
is a very, he's a well-respected skeptic.
Well, I do remember a film based on a true story, and it was an old American film, probably in the 70s, and it was like a woman getting raped by a poltergeist or something like that.
Well, there's succubuses and incubuses.
Yeah, we know, but I don't know, that from your story, that sounded weird, but now that I know about it, I think I will pursue that ghost sex over robot sex, because you never know.
Probably safer.
Yeah, safer. Don't need to wrap up or anything, and you might get like an old movie star, Marilyn Monroe or something.
There you go.
Cleopatra, something like that.
Yeah.
Shit, that's cool. Do you believe it?
Again, with the ghosts, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm not saying one way or another, I guess, and I'm not like trying to be. I don't know. I mean, I don't discount it.
No, I won't discount it, because if you're going to be a ghost, then at least you're going to be getting up to something. But I don't know. At the same time, I don't know. It's really odd, isn't it? It could just be an internal wet dream that is externalized.
That's what I think. They're D-list celebrities trying to get some attention.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you and I have sleep paralysis, so we know how real that kind of thing can be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, do you know what? I've just thought of something that they could do. If they actually think that they're fucking a ghost, then why not? I'd go to sleep with like a bag of flour or something like that, so I could just throw it on them to see if it is actually there doing it. Because if they're feeling it, then it must be a physical thing, isn't it? So it must actually be there. If they're feeling something inside them, or vice versa, like Bobby Brown, they're actually fucking a ghost. Then if you had like some flour or something, or some water, you could throw it down and just see what they look like. And it might just be like an 8-legged octopus thing, a demon.
Yeah, just with its tentacle in you.
Yeah, just like Shadow Citizen.
Yeah, that's what happened to the other 2 tentacles.
Yes.
They raped the wrong person. They just hacked off the tentacle.
That's how Rob and Rachel came up with the show. Let's stop. Let's stop now. We've reached the end. So, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Heva. I had a good time. I think it went very well myself, and we'll be back some point in the future. So, take care, Heva.
All right, you too. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.